piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Welcome and happy Monday, moviegoers, movie fans, and movie listeners. We are the Cine-men movie podcast. I am one of your hosts, Zach, and I'm here with my good friend, comrade, and some might say even brother, Ed. How's it going?
Not too shabby, man. Not too shabby at all. Man, I gotta say, I was wrong over the weekend. I was wrong.
Hey, listen, we're gonna get into it, but there for a little bit, I thought it was gonna go your way. So
You can't count that boy out. Mahomes is a freaking beast.
Exactly.
Even himself.
Even when I thought he was out with that ankle sprain,
Dude. Re-spraining it.
Exactly.
From like a little over around 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Man.
We'll get into that. How was your weekend, man? Everything good? Everything going okay?
It was a stay-in weekend. We cleaned up, did laundry, watched Super Bowl, finished The Office last week for that, I think Thursday. And now I have actually convinced her to watch South Park.
Oh,
However, I have watched the first 2 episodes of The Last of Us.
Nice. We'll get into it here in a little bit.
Yours?
My weekend was pretty good. Kind of did some late birthday stuff. Kind of went and looked around and did some, went out to eat and stuff. But other than that, like you, man, kind of stayed in, did some chores around the house, watched the Super Bowl. Kind of a laid back weekend, as you would say. So
1 second. I know I'm going back to the Super Bowl, but did the Tubi get you? Yeah.
Damn rabbits.
No. The third one.
Which one was the
one where it messed up was messing with the remote?
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, damn. It's like, what's wrong with this thing?
Everybody. They trolled everybody, man. I swear. If they go down for one thing and one thing only, it's not going to be the rabbits. It's going to be that damn remote commercial.
Yep, exactly.
The rabbits were strange, especially the Sparta one.
Yeah.
Like, gosh.
I think that was a metaphor for rabbits taking over the world, basically. I guess Easter's right around the corner, so I guess so.
Well, I think this was the rabbit hole you can get launched into when you go watching all these shows and binging.
Yep. You start with one, and then you see something else. It's like, oh, damn, they have that. Oh, let's go.
Well, there you go.
That would have been a good, honestly. That would have been a really good Netflix commercial if they had done something like that.
And that's what I was like. Who is this? I'm like, I know it's a streaming platform, but I don't know who it is. And then Tubi, I was like, oh, yeah. Okay.
And I've been on Tubi before. It's more free, and there's a lot of actually free stuff on there, to be honest. So, but yeah, I'm surprised they didn't use it for HBO Max or Netflix or Hulu, one of the bigger ones. So, but let's do recent watches. Let's go ahead and talk about the Super Bowl. Overall, I mean, Chiefs won. I'm happy about that. It was a really, like I said at the beginning, it was a really tight-knit game. I mean, Jalen there for a little bit had control of the board, and I can't fault him for anything. I think he did a marvelous job, even if they lost, and you had 2 of the best teams in the league. So,
dude, Jalen Hurts literally made history. Well, I mean, for that matter, what was it? Both quarterbacks made history. This is the first Super Bowl that 2 starting African-American quarterbacks played against each other. Mm-hmm. So that was history already in itself. But not only that, but Jalen Hurts made history in his scoring ability. 3 rushing touchdowns. 3. The only other player to do that in NFL Super Bowl history is Terrell Davis from the Broncos back in Super Bowl 32. Not only that, but what he even more so made history about was 3 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown in the Super Bowl. First quarterback to do that ever.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Still wasn't enough to beat the Chiefs, man.
Man,
Still not enough.
Like we said, man, Mahomes when he's
can't count him
directed,
out.
You can't when he's directed and he wants to get something done, he can get it done.
I mean, him and Travis Kelce and the entire that entire team feeds off of him. And I mean,
I will say even the defensive side of Chiefs did really well going up against the Eagles.
God, I forget his name, but 32 was a monster all game long. Almost scored twice on defense. Yeah. Like, what? But God, dude. Yeah, it was a crazy game. Chiefs pulled off an excellent win, a very hard-fought win. Philly, man, they lost by, I swear, if that fumble hadn't have happened, we'd be having a different conversation right now. But it's yesterday. The score is what it is. And next year. And I mean, we'll see how the next season goes.
Hey, Patrick, 2 for 2, man. 2 for 2.
Well, no, he's 2 for 1 right now.
Yeah, but I mean, like he's gotten 2, and I think honestly, if there's any, and obviously I'm not really sports literate, but I'm going to do my best. I think if anyone has a chance of outdoing Brady's record, it's Mahomes.
He's on pace for that because, I mean, especially if he goes, say, 16, 18 years like most quarterbacks. Well, 15 to 18 years like a lot of quarterbacks do. Yeah. I mean, this is 2 in 4 years. Yeah. So, I mean, if he goes 16 years, I mean, that's 8. If he keeps this play up, he's got at least 3 or 4 in the next 5 years. Yeah, I mean that he's potentially going to be in.
Overall, I think, I said like I said, the game, excellent game. I'm glad this was the final, I guess, the season finale, I guess you would say, for football until later this year. The commercials were okay. I think the biggest thing that shocked the whole damn world was that Flash trailer. I think that was amazing. That was a big shock, I think.
And that wasn't even the trailer. That was the teaser.
Yeah.
For that matter. The whole trailer I sent out in the group chat.
Yeah. And I think I had a lot of people at work say that their social media was like slammed with Michael Keaton is back. Like it was just, it's cool. I mean, I think this movie is really going to change a lot of people's minds.
I do too. With that, there's only one other thing about the Super Bowl tradition that we haven't talked about, and that was the halftime show.
Yep.
Rihanna and dancers, for that matter. I thought they looked like a bunch of marshmallows.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. I was kind of curious about the costume design, but it is what it is. I didn't know
she was pregnant.
Yeah, because I thought it was just leftover baby weight, but no, she has another one coming. So
she just had that one in May. So I mean, here we are, not even a year later, and pop.
Yep.
So we'll see.
But it was good. Good Super Bowl. I'm glad. It keeps us occupied for a little bit until I guess the next thing is March Madness here in a couple weeks. So
yep.
Other than that, did you watch anything else over the weekend?
The Office, The Last of Us, and then South Park. Started on that.
So what'd you think about The Last of Us? I know you're 2 episodes in, but what'd you think so far?
The Last of Us. It's got an interesting concept. I mean, it's pretty much Walking Dead meets what?
I Am Legend.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Or even maybe World War Z in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, especially how the infected get by.
Yeah. I mean, it's creepy and freaky that the little parasite comes out of the mouth. That's definitely freaky. It's cool that they actually are taking a page out of Stranger Things book and making it to where it is a mono being that is in different,
a bigger thing.
So you touch one thing and it senses everything.
Yeah.
sucks that his daughter died so early on, but at the same time, you've got to connect to the character somehow. So
you got to get the drama. You got to get the drama going somehow, and that was definitely a good opening episode. So
very good scene for acting was very good. Pedro Pascal is so far killing
good,
it.
man.
He
Johnny's wrong.
is.
Let's just say Johnny's wrong. He's on this episode. So.
I think it's different tastes for different people, for that matter.
Right.
So it is what
he
it
got
is.
he got so big with the Mandalorian, and maybe he just got it's just burnout. You know how Chris Pratt was in Guardians and then Jurassic World, and just he was everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of like okay, we get it.
It like I said, it's different tastes, different people. Simple as that. Some people love it, some people don't. Hey, watch the show for what it is and try.
I gotta eat my own words, man, because I saw the trailer to Fast X. I'm just like, oh damn! Like the only thing that I'm just like is really intriguing me is Jason Momoa as the bad guy. That's really the only thing I'm just like,
dude,
okay.
It's so
it's ridiculous. It's so over the top,
cheesy, and I mean, don't get me wrong.
So you're telling me a Challenger can take out 2 fully equipped armored trucks? Okay.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not even just that, but it's all right. We're gonna race again. Bro, chill out.
You haven't done that the last like 4 movies.
So. I mean, don't get me wrong, if this was a race car movie or a racing movie, and everybody's like, well, it's not. It's a spy movie. It's action. Dude.
I was talking about that at work today. It's just like the trajectory of this franchise going from thugs and criminals, stealing VCRs and street racing, and out of nowhere they're the Avengers of this universe.
Right. And I'm just like, they went from stealing VCRs, going under a low-cut truck in a freaking Honda, and having problems with dudes racing in a Honda 2000.
Exactly.
To freaking dudes in space. Like,
just go back and listen to that episode. Just you can listen to me just be angry for like hour and a half.
Don't get me wrong, I love the cars. The cars are amazing to see. And some of it, yeah, it's kind of cool. It is. I'm not going to lie about that. But it is to a point to where it gets old. And now, of course, John Cena, oh, what are we going to do, Dom? What are we going to do, Dom? Like, okay, chill out with all this.
Yeah.
Because literally every single bad guy is family, And I mean, now it's just literal in the context of the characters. And I'm just like, cool.
Well, and
Jason Momoa is going to be swimming next year.
Well, and the thing is, it's just like, once again, this franchise is so out of ideas that they have to go back and retcon. So supposedly it's connected to Fast 5. I don't know. I don't know.
I swear, if we get a body double for the Dwayne Johnson, I swear
you're gonna walk out of the theater.
But
you probably won't be saying that, but yeah.
Well, of course, they're going to have to include Brian's character, or the character of Brian.
They're going to CGI Paul Walker. They're going to bring him back, especially since supposedly this is the last part 1 of 2. So if it's not this one, it'll be the next one.
Now it's over his kid again. I get it, but at the same time, there's got to be a point, and I know it's supposed to be one of the last 2 movies. I get that. But
enough, man.
It's like Supernatural. It's like The Walking Dead. It's like, Saul.
Grey's Anatomy. Like, how long can this go on?
There's got to be a point where you cut this off. And I mean, people might be mad at Stranger Things or might be mad with Game of Thrones, but they knew when to call it quits. Game of Thrones had a had a bad ending and left a bad taste in people's mouths. Just because they didn't know exactly, they knew where to go, and what was
they didn't execute it correctly.
But it wasn't executed correctly because the author was not done.
Yeah,
Stranger Things, I think, is going to do fantastic as an ending, because I think they're going to bring Eddie back as a vampire, and he's eventually going to overthrow Vecna. That's my guess. That is not necessarily reading into anything or anything else like that. It's just part of how D&D goes with Vecna's storyline, at least. So we'll see on that. If I'm right, cool. If I'm not, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But that's where franchises and where series need to understand. Like, it's like with something like, I don't know, South Park or The Simpsons. It's extremely hard to find that. And a lot of people are probably bored of both of those at times. So
yeah,
I'll cut my rant off.
No, you're good, man. I'll just go through my recent watches real quick. I haven't seen this newest episode, but still watching it. Just getting through a couple more 2022 films. Spoiler alert with Jim Parsons. You can watch it on Peacock. A Violent Night with David Harbour, the Santa Claus John Wick movie. It was fun. You know, it is what it is. If you don't, it reminds me a lot of Nobody with Bob Odenkirk. Yep. So I think it's from the same creators, actually. And then I watched 2 of the Best Picture nominees, Tar with Cate Blanchett and All Quiet on the Western Front, which I really thought in the first hour of that movie, I was like, wow, this is better than 1917. It's like so good, but it kind of loses its way. It kind of, I'm not going to say rambles. It kind of loses its track a little bit, but overall it's a worthy Best Picture nominee. So
in other words, it's like me.
Yeah, it's perfectly like that. You don't know where it's going to go and how is it going to end. So
speakers, polar bears, and headphones.
Listeners, if you have any recent watches or if you want to recommend anything to us, please email us. By the way, Ed, why don't you tell people how people can get in touch with the show or on social media?
All right, man, this is way too easy. If you've been sleeping under a rock, get with Patrick and get above that rock, okay? SpongeBob reference. Facebook.com/The Cine-men Movie Podcast. Now that is the TheCinemen Movie Podcast. Instagram is Instagram/The Cine-men Movie Podcast. Again, the spelling. Twitter /Cinemen405. Email at cinemen921@gmail.com. Go ahead and throw us a hook. Throw us anything that you'd like as far as movies and or entertainment purposes go. We take requests. We also go ahead and love to hear what you think of some of the films we are, divulging in, such as that one right there, Ghost, which we're about to get into in just a moment. Donnie Darko, you want to leave us some stuff on that? You want to leave us your Super Bowl picks, what you're mad about? Cool. You want to go ahead and skip to the next film? What is that? Princess Bride next, right?
Yeah. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm sorry, I skipped ahead 2 weeks, not just one. So there is that. Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then after that, Princess Bride, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So reach us, send us a hey, send us a how you doing, send us what your favorite movie is, something like that. Go from there, man. We'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, guys, let's get into it. We're talking 1990s Ghost, starring Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, Whoopi Goldberg, Tony Goldwyn, Ricky Gervais, Vincent Chevalier, Gail Boggs, and Armelia McQueen. Directed by Jerry Sugar. Released in 1990. Currently has a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.1 IMDb, and it has a 77 Google user approval.
So this movie is actually older than any cast member on the Cine-men Movie Podcast.
Yeah, that's technically true. It really is.
Almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, because I think, are you the oldest out of the group?
No.
Is it Johnny?
Juanito is.
Yep. Juanito.
He is 9 months older than I am. Old
beat
bastard.
You to the punch, man. Let's get into it, man. Ghost. I've heard a lot about this movie, especially when it comes to rom-coms. This is why we're doing or romantic films, especially since tomorrow's Valentine's Day. We decided to do kind of a romantic film. Can you hear me?
I mean, come on. How can you go wrong with Patrick Swayze? You got Demi Moore. You got Whoopi Goldberg. Like, the list goes on. But those
you got the trio, bro.
Ones. 3 big ones right there.
I'll start with you, Ed. What was the first time you saw this movie compared to now?
First
or
time
do you remember when you saw it?
Not really. No, I know that I've seen it in like the early to mid 2000s. I know that, but as in, oh, I saw it 2002 June. I couldn't tell you.
Right.
I've seen it at least 5 or 6 times in my lifetime. Just
That's a lot
yesterday.
more than I thought, really.
Well, so my mother-in-law likes
Circumstances.
this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Would walk in on it a couple times here and there. Uh, I think the first time I saw it was with my dad on kind of a random like movie on TV kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about your first time, man?
This is my first time, honestly.
Oh,
I've never
okay.
seen this movie. I got a lot of oohs and ahs and like, what? Never at work when I told him I've never seen this movie. And it's not that it's one that like it reminds me a lot of Donnie Darko and Princess
Yeah.
Bride, that it has such a huge fan base that it's like it's hard to go into this film without having expectations for it.
Yeah.
And so I'll be honest, the first 10, maybe 15 minutes of this movie, I was just like, oh no. It's like, oh, this is gonna be a rough watch. But overall, man, I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was it's a well done movie. It's very 90s, which we'll get into here in
Yeah.
a little bit.
Which is funny because it's in the starting of the 90s.
Yeah, literally 1990.
Like middle of it.
And it just, I don't know, it left a good, had a good ending to me. Not so much the movie ending, but it's just like, okay, I kind of get why people like this type thing. So,
And I mean that's kind of the thing with this movie is that you're gonna have the ones that are diehards, of course.
yeah,
Everybody has their own taste in movies, music, or entertainment, whatever.
right.
But at the same time, you've got huge Patrick Swayze fans, you've got huge Demi Moore fans. So you're gonna have people that just are all over this movie or over the moon about this movie just because of him or just because of her, for that matter.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more towards him just because he
was such a big presence
commodity.
in Hollywood at that
Exactly.
point. And so,
Exactly.
I mean, I honestly didn't. I mean, I knew obviously he's passed away, but I didn't realize how long it's been. He died in 2009, which I'm like
No.
that shocked me a little bit.
Well, I mean, they're wrong to people like us. 2009 was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
In our reality, it's literally 14 years ago. And I mean, so I'm going on 13 years of being out of high school, for that matter.
Yeah.
So saying with that, like we said last episode, the ending of it, at least, when you say Patrick Swayze, you get Roadhouse, the tough bar bouncer that comes in to correct a rowdy crowd that doesn't give a F about anybody's authority.
Exactly.
You get the suave, dirty dancing man that's not going to let you put baby in a corner, You get those. And then I think this is in the top 5 of his most well-known movies, at least.
Probably this, Dirty Dancing. Probably Dirty Dancing is number 1. Donnie Darko.
I would say Donnie Darko is probably not even in the top 5 of most well-known movies that he's in, for that matter.
Okay, so here we go. It's Dirty Dancing, Ghost, Roadhouse, and probably Point Break. Those are probably the top 5.
Fair. Yeah.
I would say.
But or top 4. And then Donnie Darko?
I put Donnie Darko in there. Not so. It's really
that.
not even so much for him, but probably just like the cultural
impact of it,
the cult following of the film. So
okay, I can see that.
Let's get into the film. I mean, this movie, it really opens up with like a thriller, supernatural vibe, especially with the score and kind of like it's not Paranormal Activity, obviously. That'd be a very different movie, but it's just like, something's up, and that this is not going to end well in however form or fashion that might be.
Well, with his death scene, for that matter, you've got him, kind of wrestling with this guy that comes out of nowhere from behind and demands his wallet and all that. And it's funny because a lot of this is over Demi Moore's character Molly getting slapped.
Yeah.
Or backhanded, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
A man taking up for his woman. Yeah.
Which it does happen in real life. So I mean it's a feasible, thing. But you go into the scuffle, especially with the firearm, and the firearm gets discharged and he's obviously shot, but you don't see that yet. You hear the firearm get discharged and he's running after him. That's all we know. And he comes back and he's just, I mean, this was probably the cheesiest part of the whole thing, because it's kind of that thing of that surprise, but the overdone surprise.
It's like I said, the acting of this is very, very 90s, just like I don't want to say overacting, but you're just putting too much
dramatic effect into it that it takes away from it.
I will say, like, when he runs towards the mugger, and then he it turns away and the camera kind of just looks back on his viewpoint. It took me for a shock of just because I kind of thought, like I said, this is the first time I've seen this. Part of me thought that maybe Demi Moore was shot, and it was going to turn around and see Demi Moore lying bleeding out on the pavement.
Okay.
But obviously, what do we think about the chemistry between Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore? I thought they sold it really well.
I was about to say, I mean, they're wrong. He did good with almost any female lead, for that matter, that he was paired with.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of different instances, but at the same time, Demi Moore, you've got to give her credit too. She knocks it out of the park herself. Because you can have that suaveness that he has. You can have that the way with, whether it's way with people, way with ladies, way with just whatever. But if that other person can't pull it off as well, then
it's not going to work.
You're stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
So with her, I think it was a great role for her to prize as well, and be along with him in that.
And I will say, even Demi Moore, I mean, she had Ghost in 1990, then she had A Few Good Men a couple years later. She was Esmeralda in The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yep.
Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Yeah.
G.I. Jane, Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle. So she's been, I'd say
G.I. Jane is probably her most known role.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's more for the shock value of Demi Moore shaved her head, kind of thing, more than anything. She did wonderful in that movie as well. Like, she definitely has chops, for sure. But it's more just that was part of that shock value of that,
It's just, it's almost like at the point,
yeah.
It's almost like the point where it's like, we as a film going audience in today's world is like, okay, they're doing that to either win an Oscar or do the part. But back then it's just like, no, that's not supposed to happen. Why would she do that? Kind of, it's a very showy. I'm not gonna say it's a very showy performance, but it's in today's world, it's much more acceptable than it was in the 90s.
Well, I mean, I mean, a lot more ladies don't have much hair, for that matter, or choosing that style of haircut.
Yeah.
But with someone like, you've got a ton of actors that go and do extreme things for their roles, whether it's their most defining role, whether it's not. I mean, in this, she has shorter hair.
Yeah.
More of a bowl haircut, for that matter.
A really good example, even though it's not really, I think it's maybe the character is psychologically traumatized, but Natalie Portman, V for Vendetta, there's a whole scene of her she gets her hair shaved off, or
or even Millie Bobby Brown for that matter.
Yep,
she's done it a couple times. Well, this once was a bald cap, and then the other
right,
was actual
real,
shaving.
yeah,
Or even someone like as extreme as Christian Bale for that matter, going from 130 to 215 to 150 to like 265, and just extreme weight change. Or even Matthew McConaughey, he does a lot of that stuff too. But you've got to think, that some of these actors and actresses do not extreme, but very, very, very brooding stuff to go ahead and get their roles correct, or the roles that they want, or make the director understand, like, I am for this project, like,
right, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's the craft of the actor.
Yep.
What do they take? What does it take in order for them to get into that part?
Yep.
And so, I mean, I think Demi Moore, I think she really plays the. I don't think she's widowed. She's not married in this movie, but the grieving spouse or the grieving loved one, I guess. I thought she played that really well.
Yeah, for sure.
Carl, I called it, man. I didn't even need to finish watching this movie. The dude was a dick. It was just like, it was so bluntly obvious, that scene where they're talking, money, and Patrick Swayze's like, do you see how much money this is? And then it cuts to him, and it's just like, you could tell he's already sweating bullets. Just like, okay, so you're going to be the villain in this by the end of this. So,
it's funny on how, whether it's not really necessarily a villain, but it's more just the ultimate jerk for that matter.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, sometimes this is a very good thing, but then you got to shift over and switch to a different character with Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
I thought she did wonderful in this. I mean,
she was excellent in this. I'll be honest,
she was my favorite.
Yeah, I totally agree. But going into this, I was just like, oh, Whoopi Goldberg's in this. Okay. She won the Oscar, man. And not to say that in a negative way. It's just like, no. It was just, okay, like, why would you choose her? But she fits that role perfectly. She's funny. She can be dramatic.
I was about to say, she's the comedic relief, and she does it well.
Yes.
She does it correctly in this, because this is around the time of Sister Act. This is around
a couple years before Lion King.
She did a lot of good stuff around in the 90s. A lot of good stuff. And I think she was the perfect choice for the comedic relief or comedic role for this movie, just because with the bank scene for that matter, where she's going as Rita Miller, and she starts signing her name. And he's like, no, Rita Miller, sign Rita Miller. And she's like, oh, I signed the wrong name. And you can see the teller's just like, are you serious? The wrong name? I'd have been like, I signed my middle name instead. I'm sorry about that. Can I have another? Because this is more of an official document. I want to go ahead and,
That was a great sequence. Them going to the bank, and then Sam is just kind of like literally over her shoulder telling her what to do. And in today's world, they probably would have just, took her away and said, hey, what's really going on here? Or they would have caught on to it. But, in movie land, you just, I was about to say, you go with it. That's not even a nitpick at all. It's both funny, and you want them to get away with what they're doing. The $4 million is just it's a really good scene.
It is. And I mean, you've got several different ones, such as the pottery scene for that matter, which when I was younger was very awkward, man. That was so awkward.
You talked about the famous scene. I was just like, what are you talking about? Oh, you mean the softcore pottery porn thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, you got to know that pottery classes went up when that movie came out.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I couldn't do it. I probably could do it after a while of being taught, but I couldn't do that. Like, I couldn't, man. And it's not even just like thinking of a sexual aspect of it or thinking of making it that way. It's more just
it's so bluntly obvious.
Act of it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, the fact that she's, if you've ever done pottery, you're trying to make a design out of clay. and it's so genitalia like by a certain point of it. You're just like, okay, we get it. They're wanting to have sex. Can we, just cut to them making out on the couch? We don't have to keep like focusing on this shot, especially that the machine is literally between her legs. It's just like, all right, like we get it.
And I mean, like with the part where she starts making the large bowl or vase or whatever, and then she just crushes the side of it. That right there, I think, was a very, very good element to add, just because that's the grieving process. It's just like she remembers the times that they had with that, whether that was just the once or multiple occasions.
Yeah.
But, or whether, she would make stuff for him or whether she would make stuff for family or whatever like that.
It's also, no, go ahead. I was just going to say, it's also the reminder of, like you said, they had good times with this, but it's also, I think, he supported her with this hobby or whatever you want to call it. And it's always like a haunting memory of what they had together.
Exactly. And I mean, that's the thing. Whenever you do something with somebody so much, it becomes kind of a thing that it's very hard to betray, quotations, betray that. It's not necessarily that you're doing it wrong, that you're betraying it, but it's kind of like, when you play a certain video game with these two guys, it's almost hard to do that in another aspect with, other people, to where like this, it wouldn't be awkward to go onto another podcast with somebody else. But at first it would be kind of like, this doesn't feel right because, with you, I've known you for at least 10 years now, 9 years, somewhere in that area. 2014?
Yeah, 10 years.
2013? Yeah. I was like, I don't remember if it was 2013 or 2014.
Yeah, it was. I started, just to give a little backstory. We worked at the Warren Theater here in Oklahoma, in Moore, Oklahoma. I started the weekend of Man of Steel when it was released in theaters.
So I started with That Awkward Moment was my first movie working there back then.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? But with Craig, I've known him since high school, and with Juan, we've literally known each other. Well, he's known me pretty much my entire life. I've known him most of his entire life. Like, we've literally grown up together. So I mean, it's having that connection already with you guys, and all that. But at the same time, going on another podcast, like say what Juan does with the Friday the 14th podcast, pretty cool stuff. They're real good guys, but I'm sure for the first couple of episodes, it was like, okay, how do I fit in with these guys? How do I get to know them a little bit better on mic, on screen, or whatever you want? And, what can I talk to them about that me and him or me and them will relate to each other? But, it's the same thing with acting, except for acting there on a much bigger scale for that matter. And it's not necessarily, we portray characters of ourselves for that matter, and it's in, mine, and I'm sure yours, Juan's, and Craig's. It's all a real perspective, whether we're angry, whether we're extremely excited, whether we're kind of bored with it or whatever it is. It's a real perspective. From an actor's take, it's kind of, gathering information about that character or knowing what you're doing and going from there.
Right.
So going back to the movie, with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze, they had to have the chemistry as well. And I thought that they did. I thought that it was a very good, chemistry, like the medium scene for that matter.
Yeah.
I loved that. I thought that was pretty cool.
I liked this movie. Like, I was surprised at how funny it was. Like when after he technically dies and they cart his body off into the hallway, he starts talking to another person. And he's just like, what happened to you? Oh, you got shot? Sorry, bro. It's like, he starts talking to the other ghosts, and it's just like,
it's talking about the older man in the ER.
The older man. And then even when he gets to the train and it's like the crazy
Yeah.
hobo ghost living on the train, it's just kind of like, but he's the one, but that's the crazy thing. He's the one that kind of teaches him the ghost telekinesis, I guess you could say.
And see, that's the thing that I think. Okay, so call me crazy, whatever. Okay, I don't care. I think about stuff like this all the time. I think about like the afterlife a lot, personally. And I mean, I feel like this is kind of, a washed version of it in a way, kind of a childlike
View of it.
imagination.
Yeah.
Yes, but at the same time, like, would that be so bad? You know,
Yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, kind of. Because I've got things I'd love to do. Whether it's pulling pranks or going to see somebody and just letting them know whatever, or whatever it be at that moment in time. Whether it's a month from now, whether it's 65 years from now,
Right.
either way. But at the same time, you think about a movie like this, and it's kind of what brought this on. Was it the memory of a loved one? Was it just a concept idea that they were greenlit on, and there you go? Or was it something deep, shallow? It
Right.
don't really matter. Executed very well. I thought this movie was done in a good fashion,
Yeah.
honestly.
I think, and honestly, I think that attributes to, I'll go through it real quick. It was nominated for 5
Damn.
Oscars. It was nominated for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress for Whoopi Goldberg, Best Screenplay, Best Film Editing, and Best Original Score. It won for Screenplay and it won for Whoopi Goldberg's, and which she totally
Oh
deserved. I
shit.
thought she was
No, yeah,
really
yeah.
good on this.
No, she did do very well. I thought this was definitely one of her better, not negative, not necessarily a serious role,
Right.
but definitely
There are
not negating from her
definitely
comedy roles either.
well, yeah, I would agree with that because it's
Because
a
it
primarily comedy role, but there are dramatic aspects to it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I feel like she pulled them off very well with the mix of her, comedic timing and comedic ways. As far as her character goes, she
Yeah.
she did very well. And dang, okay, I didn't know it was nominated for Best Picture. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. That
Do you
that that
know
really surprised me.
a little bit?
Um,
Do you know what did it actually win?
yeah, I can look it up real quick. I think it was
Dang, that's kind of
63rd. Dances with Wolves won Best Picture that year.
uh,
It
uh,
was Dancing with Wolves, Awakenings with Robin Williams and Robert De Niro, Ghost, The Godfather Part 3. Oh my God, Godfather Part 3 and Goodfellas. Wow. That surprises me, honestly. That really surprises me.
Because I mean, I'm not trying to, whatever about Ghost, but to be in those other big names like that,
Dancing with Wolves, Godfather Part 3,
Godfather
which I
Part
know is not
3.
like the most loved of the trilogy, but still,
But I mean, they're
and
on.
Goodfellas. I mean,
Yeah.
really.
Well, I mean, when you say that, it's not the most loved of the three. That's basically like it's just like the third billionaire brother that didn't have $100 billion. It had
Exactly.
$3 billion.
Exactly.
Still extremely successful. But yeah, that's entirely nuts right there to
But
think
that's
about.
awesome. I mean, it's a film that I
Yeah,
think, let me see, it grossed, it was
maybe
only made for,
underrated.
it had a budget of only $23 million, and it grossed almost $500 million at the box office. 505 million.
Maybe an underrated movie,
Yeah.
or kind
I
of
don't know if this
overlooked.
is, I don't know if this is, I wouldn't go as far to say that this is like a cult following film, but I think it's definitely
Not with
had a
making
lot
half a billion.
more, right. But I think it has a lot more, not acceptability. That's not, it's more approachable, the Donnie Darko.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
think
It's
so.
definitely not it is dark in aspects, but it's definitely not as dark as Donnie Darko is.
Right.
Uh, Pun on names. But, this one's more of the light side and kind of reaping what you sow in a lot of ways
Exactly.
compared to Donnie Darko's twisted psychological aspects of kind of like I said, this is kind of like Donnie Darko is almost like a bad acid trip, and this is almost like
you had a bad
a
breakup and
mushroom
you
trip
want.
or something. I don't
Well, I
know.
was gonna say you just had a bad breakup and you want like not so much closure, but you kind of want
Yeah.
like a happy, good story, even though this is kind of depressing at some points.
All right, I'll take that one.
The I will say, like I said, I'm not gonna say it has its pitfalls. That's not a right word. That's not a right phrase. But I'll say there are aspects of this movie that are definitely,
It does have its
the
corner.
visuals. Yeah, the visuals definitely kind of don't hold up, especially from 32 plus years ago. So I mean, it's that that's just part of the time. Um,
Well, we
the
get better with
acting,
it,
yeah,
overall age for
the
that matter.
the demons that take Willie and Carl away are kind of
Yeah,
a little
cheesy.
laughable, but kind of creepy in some ways because they're just basically shadows that take that
Shadow
takes them.
monsters.
Yeah.
Which, with that being said, it's kind of like, okay, was he going to hell or was he going to purgatory? Or, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I just took it because he goes to heaven. Because Sam goes to heaven at the end of the movie. I
yeah,
think they're just going to hell. I think
kind
that's
of
just
like
a
what is above
translation.
my head.
Exactly. Um, I will say, I think let's just go ahead and get into it. I think both of us like this movie. It's not one that if we had to name our top five favorite romantic films, I don't think this would make the cake.
No.
But
Uh, might be in top 10,
yeah,
probably.
I would put maybe top 10, maybe even top 15.
Yeah,
Um,
possible. It
the
could
favorite
slip that
scene,
low.
is there one that kind of sticks out? It's just like, yeah, this is what kind of makes this movie.
I will grab two.
Okay.
The banking scene, like I mentioned earlier,
Mhm.
and then the end scene for that matter when he does go into the light. That's
Yeah.
a heart-wrenching scene right there, man. Because you get them saying bye and all that, and you get it with Molly, but then he stands up and walks over to Whoopi Goldberg, or Orta, right?
Um, Oda Mae Brown.
Oda.
Yeah.
You get Oda as well in there, and he that's where the chemistry with him and Whoopi Goldberg comes out,
Right.
very very hard, um, because he didn't really have to say anything, but hey, I appreciate you with helping me to get back to her and to talk to her.
Right.
Instead, you know she goes on this entire adventure with this guy that she pretty much has no idea who this dude is, but they end up kind of becoming really good friends in this.
Well, and it's like it's always playing it's making fun of the psychic role of just like I don't think she
Yeah.
really believes in what she's doing, but when she meets Patrick Swayze for the first time, it's just like, oh, so this is real. I'm just kind of a hustler that kind of takes people's money, but you are a real ghost I'm talking to.
Like I am partially the real thing, but
Yeah.
this is a job that I have to try and make a living. And
Yeah.
people, because don't get me wrong, you look at psychic mediums today in real world, you're like, okay, like especially my favorite ones are the ones on shows.
Yeah.
Say like Ghost Hunters or anything like that, or Adventures or whatever. They're set up. That they've read tons about this, person that they're supposed to be
It's just
ignorant about. And it's like, okay,
just
look,
this is the
man.
BS of the matter. It's just like, okay, just stop with the act.
And not to be forgive me, but not to be a dick to any of them. Like, I would want to go just to see how good they actually are and if it is actual. If it's actually taking something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Personally, that would be the only reason I'd actually go is to kind of like, okay, is this for real or is this just BS?
Exactly.
Finally. But
Uh,
he goes, he gets to meet her, and yeah. So I think those two scenes, the seance and then the banking scene. Oh,
uh,
I'm sorry, the end scene and the
oh,
banking
going to
scene.
heaven. Yeah. I got two scenes as well when he's kind of figuring out that he can when when he goes back to the apartment after he's died and Molly's kind of in this very depressed
Catatonic
state,
state.
kind of catatonic state. he walks past the cat, and it's just kind of like it plays on the whole thing of like cats can see ghosts, or they kind of see stuff that's not there.
To the shadow realm or the veil.
Yeah. And then the other scene, which I thought was kind of it's weird, but it's emotionally well done, is that when he gets into Whoopi Goldberg's body and they kind of have that Sam's touch scene, but what you kind of realize is it's just Demi Moore and Whoopi Goldberg just kind of sitting there, just hugging and just touching hands and stuff. But
at the same point,
it's well done on an emotional aspect, which I appreciated.
Because I mean, if you've got that one person, whether it's family, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a child or a parent or whatever, that you've longed to feel the hug of or embrace the lover's touch or, whatever it is, or even say goodbye truthfully, not just, kind of say a halfway like, oh, well, I didn't know. So it kind of never got to that point. I can see it being, having that opportunity would be a very, very emotional thing. I could see that, okay. I like it. So, man, what are we doing?
Let's start going towards the end game. Star rating. First time watch for me. I enjoyed it. It took a little bit, took 10, 15 minutes to kind of get into the groove of things of what's going on. But overall, I'm going to give it a 7. It's kind of in that middle ground. It's better than It's Fine. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. It was
you would watch it again, but you're not going to go out of your way.
Exactly. So 7 out of 10 for me. What about you, Ed?
I'm going to agree, man. Full on 7 out of 10. Kind of like I just said, I'm not going to go out of my way, but I'm not necessarily going to be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
This is a nice movie that just, I don't know. Probably some people have not given it much of a chance, but then the ones who do might give it too much of a chance in ways.
It's in that weird middle ground of like people love it or people just can't stand it. And there's not really that middle in between of it's good. If someone wanted to watch it, or if you were with your girlfriend or your wife and she wanted to watch it, like, okay, I'd watch it again.
Because I mean, it's kind of, it's one of those that isn't necessarily a negative movie, but it's not necessarily the over the top favorite either.
Yeah.
Because I mean, both of us were kind of really, what was it? Kind of not taken aback, but surprised that it was, in Best Picture nominee with Goodfellas, Godfather the Part 3,
Dances with
Wolves, which took home the award. But dang, man.
And I knew this movie won an Oscar, but I was like you, man. I had no idea this was nominated for Best Picture. I was like, that's kind of awesome. I won't lie about it. So,
and I mean, I think that kind of raises it a little bit, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from it at all either. Just because, just because it was nominated, that makes it a good movie. No, not necessarily. No. It was nominated because it's a good movie,
and it came out in the summertime, which is really surprising. I thought this was. This would have been a perfect put this out for Valentine's Day movie. So
I know it came out in middle of July for that matter.
So
that's funny.
Speaking of which, we're just gonna talk about this briefly because we just haven't had a chance to do it real quick. Oscar nominations came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'll just do the best pictures just because we're not going to spend all night talking about.
Well, do you want to do Best Picture and male and female?
Yeah, we can do that. So we'll do actor and actress real quick. Best actor in a leading role: Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell, The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser, The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, and Bill Nighy for Living. Dude, I
think it's between Brendan Fraser and Austin Butler. I mean,
I think Fraser. I know you haven't seen The Whale, but that performance is just damn incredible.
Well, I mean, I would say Brendan Fraser might get the emotional nod, but at the same time, with Austin Butler, Elvis, and Lisa Marie.
Yeah, that's true.
That I think that propels those two to go against each other personally. Nothing against any of the others, but I think those two are my front runners, and I personally am going to go with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, I'm going
I
to go
think
with
he
Brendan
definitely.
Fraser too.
However, Austin Butler knocked it out of the park and was freaking
Phenomenal.
excellent.
Yeah. Well, and
the King.
I think the fact that Brendan Fraser's had this huge comeback and Austin
Yeah.
Butler's still very young, I think he'll have another chance. I think he's proven himself.
Another
He can
few.
be, yeah. I think he can get a couple more nominations, even a win under his belt.
Oh yeah.
Leading actress in a role. Let me find it. Actor in a supporting actress in a leading role. Okay. Nominees: Cate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams, The Fabelmans, Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think it's going to come down to Michelle Yeoh or Cate Blanchett because those two have been winning everything so far.
I'm gonna
say Michelle Yeoh. I think she was awesome. We weren't as big on that film like most people, but she was awesome in it.
But I think that's what makes her better for it, just because it's a very strange film, and you have to deal with that at the same time as dealing with the emotional value of it, dealing with the
science fiction of it,
and all that. Because I mean, hot dog fingers and I like that still sticks right there. But at the same time, going forward with that entire movie's just oddball, concept exactly, and then pulling off the emotional baggage of it.
Yes, that was the tough thing.
And that's the thing right there, making it funny, but emotionally just not necessarily exhausting, but emotionally like out there. I think she deserves that. Nothing against the others, of course, as well, but still,
and
yeah.
I will say, like I said, I watched Tar over this last week, and I'm sure you've had those moments where you're watching a film and it's just like, I don't understand the point of this. That's exactly what Tar was for me. Cate Blanchett is really good in it, but I think Michelle Yeoh, that we go back and listen to our episode of Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think the heart of that movie is a family drama mixed in with everything about the science fiction and the storytelling and the hot dog fingers and everything. But yeah, I think she deserves it. So,
okay.
And side note, Angela Bassett, she's going to win for Wakanda Forever, which I think is awesome. She'll be the first actress or actor to win for acting in a Marvel role, which all of us saw Wakanda Forever, and she was the emotional weight of that film. So, with Shuri. And then finally, Best Picture. Our Best Picture nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking.
Oh, see,
and in my personal opinion, I've seen most of these films. The only two I haven't seen is Triangle of Sadness and Women Talking. I think it's going to come down to The Fabelmans, because Spielberg, that is truly Spielberg's life story on screen. And The Fabelmans, I mean, not Fabelmans, Everything Ever All at Once, because it's just so vastly different from everything that's came before.
Yeah.
But I think the dark horse of the show, Top Gun Maverick, because it basically saved theaters from closing after COVID.
Yeah. I want to say Top Gun Maverick, personally, just to get it out there.
Yeah.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, like you said, with the creativity, uniqueness, and just overall aspect of the movie. And I'm going to say dark horse for me would be Elvis. I don't necessarily, huh?
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
I just personally, I think that was a very, very, very good movie for entertainment value. You've got a very good actor, in it. And overall, the story, I think, unfolded nicely. So it's not a perfect movie by far, but I think it's got good enough for the entertainment value to maybe help it out. Plus, I mean, subject. So
exactly, it's very. If you don't know who Elvis is, I mean, everyone knows who Elvis is. So it's just kind of like
you should not be able to go to a continent on this planet
and not know
I think
who Elvis
aliens
is.
know who Elvis is.
Supposedly they took him. So I mean,
man, so I mean, they definitely know who he is with that kind of thought. But we'll see. We will see. Because when is it?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Going from there, the ceremony is March the 12th. We'll talk about the winners on March the 13th, which we'll be talking about Scream 6, which will hit
just under a month
back to the theater. So yeah, about less than a month. We'll talk about the winners. Ed, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. Next week, we go back to the theater. We are going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which I think everyone's excited to see. We're very excited to see where we're going forward in not only in the Ant-Man universe, but the Marvel as a whole, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And from what I understand, man, Jonathan Majors kills it. Early reviews of it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm very excited to see where this is going.
Character looks amazing. One of the biggest aspects that has me kind of fired up for it, honestly. I'm going to say this, man. It's been fun kind of, doing this. I can't wait for Quantumania for that matter. I can't wait to, Craig's going to be on that. One is still kind of possible, possibly not. So either way, we'll see him, hopefully at least. But yeah, man. So this has been fun today. I think Ghost is wrapped for that matter. I think we can let it pass on to its afterlife. At least here on the Cine-men Movie Podcast, you of course can catch that anytime you want if you've got DVD or anything like that. But man, any finishing words?
No. Like I said, I don't know when you guys. I don't know when everyone's going to be. I think Craig's seeing it Thursday night. I'm seeing it Thursday night.
Mine will probably be over the weekend.
Yeah. So yeah,
gotta wait for the money.
Yeah, I get you, man. Yeah, that's gonna do it for us today, guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Whether you watch the show as we do it live tomorrow on your way to work, tomorrow on your way back from home, whatever it is. Thank you so much for listening.
Anywhere in between.
Exactly. Going to the grocery store, whatever you want to do. That's going to be it for us tonight, guys. Next week, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, right here on the Cine-men Movie Podcast.